Hi, and welcome to Stamp with Ginny. Today I'm going to share with you how I created this fun fold card using the Greatest Journey stamp set. This stamp set not only has some wonderful sentiments, but has a great set of dies that coordinate with it. So let me set this aside and I'll show you how to get started. I'm going to start with my stamping. I like to do that first so I can clean the ink off my area. And I'm going to ink up this beautiful floral image here and stamp it onto my cardstock. There you go. I've kind of tilted it a little bit so that I can get more of the flowers here on the right. And then I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to bring in my piece of basic white and my pick your punch, and I'm going to slide this in. Now I've cut this a little long, so I've got plenty of room in my punch where I can hold this. So I'm going to flip that over and bring in my sentiment. Oops, for this I actually want to use my Starry Sky and bring in that blue. So I'm going to ink that up and stamp right here on the right hand side by my flag. Whoops, didn't do that very well, so let's turn that over and stamp again, this time applying even pressure. There we go. I love the fact that our basic white is thick enough to do that. And then I'm going to bring in our inside panel here, and these cute little flowers, I've put them on one block so they're real easy. And I'm going to start simply by stamping these on the bottom here just to give it a little bit of color along the bottom edge. I've got everything stamped and I'm ready to add color. Now for this project, I'm going to use my polished pink, my light orchid, and my pumpkin pie. And I'm going to start by using my light orchid and the bullet tip. And I'm going to add, whoops, that color to the stems and leaves on all of my plants. There we go. I've got all the greenery done with my light orchid, and I'm ready to move on to my color. I'm going to do the leafy plants here now first with my pumpkin pie, and I'm going to bring in my flare tip, and I'm simply going to add a little color here on each one. It doesn't have to be real specific because I'm going to come back with my light and kind of color over that to blend it into the plant. And I'm going to do that on this other side also. Now if you prefer to use your bullet tip for this, you can. As always, a light touch will give you the best results. And I just realized here I've got a little bit of a leaf down here that I need to do, and my orchid over here on the right. And now I'm on to the polished pink. I'm going to start with the dark polished pink for this, and I'm going to do the areas where I want a little bit of shading on these larger bells. I can then bring in my pink light and finish them off. Yep, and I just realized I missed a cap again. Okay, over here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring in my dark. And then come back with my light. Okay, for the flowers in the center here, I'm going to bring in my pumpkin, and I'm going to use the lighter of the pumpkins. And I'm going to just color a few of these buds. Not a lot of them, because I just want to bring in that hint of pumpkin pie from the other side here where those plants were on either side. And this will allow me to do that with just a little bit of color. Let's see, I might want to do one of the buds up on top also. I've got that done, and so I'm ready to bring in the light. And I'm going to color the rest of the buds with this light polished pink. If I get out of the lines, I can use my color lifter and just push it right back in. And coming back for that cap here on my first flower over here. So there we go. I've got my coloring done, and I'm going to add a little pop of color here along the bottom of my insert. And for that, I'm going to use my light polished pink. Let's see. And I'm going to pick a few of these on each plant and color randomly. And then take the light pumpkin pie and do the others. So there we go. I've got all my coloring done and I'm ready to assemble. Okay, to assemble, I'm going to bring my card base in here and I'm going to fold it on the score line. Now this is a fun fold, so it's a little different than our normal card base. This happens to measure 9 1/4 and it's scored at the 5 1/2 to create this panel. And then I'm going to bring in this beautiful piece of Designer Series paper and I'm going to add it to the outside edge here on the inside of the card base, and then I'm going to bring my signature panel in. Now I can add this now, or I can wait and add it when I'm ready to send it in case I want to add a greeting. And of course it's always easier to sign something when it's not attached to the card. In case you make a mistake, it's easier to repair. So there you go. I've got the inside of the card done. I'm going to fold this, set it aside, and bring in my mats. I'm going to adhere my Starry Night onto my polished pink. And then I'm going to adhere my floral panel onto the Starry Night. Now this is a really tight margin because it's only 1/8 of an inch, so you'll want to be careful. I just wanted a little bit of that Starry Night to show and pull in that vegetation. At this point, I'm ready to add it to my card front. Now, a little trick on something like this where you have the panel hanging over the edge, I like to add a little bit of adhesive on the edge and then a little bit of adhesive on the back of the area that's actually going to attach to the card front. And that makes lining it up and centering it really easy. So there we go. And last but not least is my sentiment. Now for this sentiment, I want to snip this. It's a little easier than pre-cutting it, and snipping makes it go quickly here, and I get exactly the right length I want for this panel. And I'm going to simply adhere that down with Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm going to add one to the back here, and I'm going to add one, let's see, where do I want it? I think I'm going to put one about here. I'm going to remove those and then line it up exactly where I want it. And I've got that adhesive, once again, exactly where I want it to go. So there you go. I've got my panel done, and now for a little bling. I'm going to use the brushed brass butterflies, and just a quick little tip. I made the mistake of setting these on their side in a warm place, and they kind of slid. So you want to be careful with them and keep them flat. Since they do have a little bit of weight to them, they can slide, and that makes them more difficult to use, of course. I'm going to add a little butterfly, I think right about there. And I think I'm going to add a little butterfly at an angle here. And I want one more butterfly, so I think I'm going to use one of the large ones here and put it down, right about there. So there we go. I've got my little butterflies added, and I've got this cute, colorful card to send somebody special, letting them know that I'm on their side. And of course, if you'd like any of these products, feel free to stop by my online store. You can get there from my blog, Stamp with Jini. Thanks for joining me.